Hi, this is Jessica DeMassa here in the Guidewell Insights Lounge. I'm here with Andrew Hessel, and Andrew is a distinguished research scientist with Autodesk and also an expert in biotechnology. So we're going to ask Andrew, so tell us a little bit about some of the trends that are impacting biotechnology today.
Well, one of the most exciting trends are kind of the low-level work with DNA sequencing. It's just getting faster and cheaper and is really going to change diagnostics more and more. But the area that I tend to focus on is an area called synthetic biology, where we're starting to use right DNA to create new genetic programs that we can turn into anything from programmable viruses to nanoparticles to re-engineering cells to make anything from medicines to materials.
And we were talking off camera about how consumers are a little bit freaked out about some of this stuff.
Yeah, I think that it's such a big area. It's bigger than computing. This is a living world, and so I think when things are unfamiliar, people are a little afraid of them. But many people are starting to recognize the incredible value that these tools are bringing to areas of medicine and research. So more and more people are getting comfortable.
Okay, and I know you've done quite a bit of work in cancer, in particular, in cancer care and cancer treatment. So can you talk a little bit more about that? Tell us how biotechnology is driving transformation in the cancer experience.
Well, we're seeing it pretty much all the time now. So much has changed genetically in the last 10 years, and cancer is going to be the real benefit of that. Of course, cancer's been the wellspring of a lot of funding in cell biology and genetics, but now it's starting to pay a dividend because we're starting to understand most of the molecular mechanisms of cancer.
Sure.
And now we've got DNA sequencing for diagnostics and being able to recognize both early indicators of cancer in your genome, but also when it's starting to manifest in a tumor or your bloodstream. And now we're using genetics to actually create new personalized therapies because essentially genetics makes biology programmable. So now we can make these custom medicines for a single cancer, a single patient, and it's all converging really quickly and getting faster, better, cheaper.
So how do we scale that? How do we bring that kind of personalized care to everybody?
Well, that's where the new business models are starting to come into play. And right now, it's not ready to scale. Right now, it's in small clinical trials. Right now, it's really working with some of the most advanced technologies. But these are digital technologies. And as we know from our experience with computers and phones, they get faster, better, cheaper really quickly.
Right.
And the digital technologies power new business models. So I think we're going to start seeing those business models appear once the technologies are a little more robust. But we're on the early days of that now, but over the next decade, it's truly transformational.
So is there anything that can accelerate the change of those business models? If there's one thing, I guess, that you could change?
I think it's just bringing in new blood. People that start at the bottom have no legacy to protect.
Right.
They want to do things that affect 1 billion people and change the world. And a lot of people are recognizing we haven't cured cancer yet.
Right.
Like you can pay infinite money and not get cured. And so this is, I think people are, as the new technologies come into play, they want to do things that change the world plus make the money. And now that you can reach 1 billion people, you don't have to charge as much.
Right.
So if you can scale this, you're golden.
Excellent. So what has you most optimistic about the future of health? I mean, you're from a biotech standpoint or from a nanotech standpoint, what are you most intrigued about? What's going to bring us a better future?
Well, the thing that really has been captivating my imagination for about 5 years now is we're starting to see the bridges being built between the electronics industry and the folks that have been working at the nanoscale to make chips. And they're doing this at scales that are really hard for us to imagine. I think the most sophisticated chips, the features on them are 7 or 8 nanometers. This is really small. And now those folks doing that engineering, which powers all of our electronic world, are starting to realize they can't go much smaller. But on the other side, biology builds life and all of the mechanisms of life from elemental materials and using a program written in DNA. So now the electronics world is starting to really mesh with the biological world and starting to figure out, well, how can we build bridges? How can we understand what each other's, how our systems work and how we can basically start to monitor biology with electronics in real time or maybe even control it and vice versa.
Wow. So what's the real opportunity there? Like,
Yeah.
what do you see for the future?
Well, I like to say that cancer is the low-hanging fruit. When we solve cancer, then we can really start to go on. And that's because, I look at cancer as an easy problem. It's almost like an infection in your body with your own cells. And you're not trying to fix it, you're just trying to target it better and
Sure.
get rid of it. And remember how transformational antibiotics were.
Right.
We used to die with a microbial infection. Now we don't even get a day off of work. And I believe that as we have these targeted, specific medicines for cancer, it'll become pretty much the same thing. You'll get diagnosed, we'll find it early enough that your life isn't threatened, you'll get a custom-made medicine, and you'll just go home and you'll be fine. And so now we'll start to explore harder problems with these technologies. Meanwhile, the whole industry will have changed because of the expectations around cancer. We'll have new billion-dollar companies popping up all over the place. I think it'll be a really vibrant ecosystem for a number of decades.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to a future of medicine that looks like that. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank
we
you.
really appreciate your insight. Thank you so much. This is Jessica DeMassa from the Guidewell Insights Lounge.